All right. So the next question we're going to get to is about how to utilize marketing budget. Okay. So let's break this down into two parts. The first is a bit of a mindset shift. And to answer your question about is 12K the right number going to be good for you? I would say eliminate the 12K budget. And what I mean by that is I still want you to spend money. However, I want you to think about it in a different mindset, and what I preach to clients and the way we operate in our business is we want to show you ROI around the things that we're doing that you're paying us for, right? And so your mentality is more of an ROI testing framework, and what I mean by that is don't go into this whole thing saying I got 12K burning in my pocket, so I'm going to pick two or three or 10 things and kind of arbitrarily throw money at it, bleed out the bank account, and then try to pick up the pieces after and really cross my fingers that this all works really well. So thinking about it more in a let's test kind of one strategy at a time, or do limited spending on a strategy to kind of test it to see if we get any signals that this is actually going to work, or better yet, if it's actually going to produce a return on investment for you. And then you can apply more money to it as you go, rather than just dumping all of your chips in at once. And so your math is doable, but I would walk before you run. And so instead of going all in with this 12K that you're thinking about spending and hoping to get 10 cases, make a more, I think, realistic goal, right? Spend a quarter of that, or spend 50%, where you're spending $6,000 and the goal is 5 matters. Because just speaking from experience, when you're starting to go from 0 to that first client, getting 10 can feel really daunting and challenging. And so I think mentally it's easier and better to kind of build those smaller checkpoints or milestones. And so even going after like 3 clients on a 30% of that budget, I think is a better kind of mindset. And then you will get a very important piece of data. If any of that works out, you'll get your cost per customer acquisition. And so you'll know better, okay, I have to spend, for every $1,000 I spend on ads, I'm getting 1 client that's worth 5,000. Okay, those are my unit economics. And then I spent 5,000 on print and I didn't get any leads, or I got leads, but they were all bad quality, no customers. So then you start to understand what your cost per acquisition is, and you can start to then think about how to scale that, right? And so you can repurpose that money you spent on print over to the working ads campaign, and start to stack those $1,000 cost per acquisition, or whatever that number is. And you can always increase your fee down the road, right? So don't get too bogged down at the beginning of your journey here with what your fee is. You need some reps, and you need to, I think most importantly, get some of those positive reviews that you can put on Google, you can put on your website, so that when you are in pitches, you have this background of, hey, I've done this before, I've gotten great results, and I'm not just saying that. This is coming from other people, right? So that is the best thing you can do to kind of build your reputation, not only just from people seeing the website, but on Google Business, on your Google Business profile. Reviews are the best thing you can do to grow that, and so you show up more often when people are out there searching on their phones. And let's get into like a more technical breakdown, though, of if you were super committed to spending that 12K, how would you actually spend it, right? So because of the stage that you are within your business, my answer is going to be different than if you already had a business and had been doing it for 5 years, and you've got some new business pipelines established. So this is during the startup phase, is my recommendation. And the first thing I would do is ads, and I'm going to do Google pay-per-click, potentially Meta, since you're on the real estate side, maybe LinkedIn potentially. LinkedIn is, pretty expensive, and I tend to think that Meta and LinkedIn are both going to be less demand oriented, or the signals that you're going to be getting are going to be lower intent compared to somebody who is literally typing into their Google search that I'm looking for a landlord lawyer, right? Those are the people you want. They're going to be the most ready to buy and high intent, looking for your services and give you the best possible ability to potentially close those people. Meta and LinkedIn are more like, people out there who could fit your description, but they're not actively doing it at that moment. So you might hit on some good people, but from a pure mindset of, you need to make every dollar count right now, I would recommend PPC, because I think you're going to get more bang for your buck. You're going to deal with less tire kickers, and you're going to have a higher chance at actually getting paying clients. So I would spend like $9,000 of a $12,000 budget on that. The next thing I would do is actually a little bit different. It would be cold email. And the reason I like this, and if you're not familiar with it, I'm just talking about, emailing people out of the blue, right? And introducing them to what you do, trying to get a meeting, trying to get something going. I would recommend this because you are going after a pretty definable market, right? And in contrast with something like criminal defense, there's no job title for a person who got a DUI, right? Or a person who just got charged with domestic violence. But with your particular type of client, you will be able to find those people. And so, I'm not as familiar with the, looking for those type of contacts in the real estate, but I would recommend using a tool like Apollo. And that's like, I don't know what their rate is, but it's probably like $100 a month or something like that. And then I would, to start, just use Gmail. And basically you're going to go in Apollo. You can use all these filters and find people who match your criteria. So find people who have the job titles, or, are associated with the types of businesses that you're after that you think would be good targets. And you can get this pool of people who more likely than not are kind of your ICP, your ideal customer profile. And then from there, you can just do it very quick and cheap by taking those people, creating a templated email that you can just copy and paste over and over again. That's the easy way. If you want to kind of like scale this up, you could even take all of that and use a tool like Instantly, where you're going to be able to do those campaigns in bulk. But I would recommend just starting with, writing like 50 emails, right? Do like 10 a day, work on your pitch, kind of test different ideas, different things about how you can like show your value and get somebody to the point where they're like, okay, yeah, I'll take a meeting with this person. And there's a lot of information on the internet, or you can just use AI to like give you some tips and, go in that. But that, to me, you could get that running for like under $500, probably like $200. And that, is just another piece that you could use to kind of offset some of the ads and, get some potentially early wins and get some activity. Third, I would do SEO, building your digital presence. So you mentioned it early, kind of building your brand. Always going to be the best idea, because ultimately that's going to produce your lowest cost per acquisition for new clients, because if they know you, they're going to seek you out, or you don't really have to pay for that. You're going to be just investing in it, and then you have this asset. So, I mean, you are paying for it, but it's an asset that can appreciate with time if you work on it. And so that would extend, getting a website, signing up for Google Business Profile, signing up for Facebook page, Instagram page, YouTube, just really anywhere you can sign up that carries business information. I would do that, and that's going to help Google get to know you, do better in SEO. But it is a longer term play, so I wouldn't sacrifice a lot of your budget on it at this point. I would just get that process going, spend about $2,000, $2,500 out of the $12K budget,